So in this video we're going to be working with SAS Studio for the first time. I will assume that you all install it already and that it's up and running. In your week 1 lesson plan you have the link to download the software, and it's pretty well explained in there. They have videos and everything that you can follow to have to download and install the SAS University Edition in your computer. So once you have that done, you can access it from your computer. So basically, I'm going to start SAS Studio. SAS Studio is the graphical interface that we're going to be using to learn SAS. So you see we have two panes, the left side and the right side. The right side is called usually the work pane, or the work environment or work area, and the left side will be where you'll have your folders, your libraries, etc. So I want to show you some point and click capabilities of SAS that you can use. First, I want to go into libraries. The libraries is where you're gonna store your data sets. If you click there, there is a library called SAS Help. That's where the different data sets are stored, the ones that are that come with SAS Studio. We're going to be using those data sets to work on examples. So let's say you want to access this particular data set called baseball. That's the one that is used in the book as an example. So just double click on it. It will show you here. It will show you the data set. Basically, it says total rows 322. That means that we have 322 observations. This goes up to 100, but then you can always move to the left, and then you'll have from 101 to 200, and then from 201 to the 300th observation. But let's go back to number 1. So you have 322 observations, total 24 columns. So that means that we have 24 variables per observation. This is obviously a multivariate data set because we have many variables per observation. Each observation corresponds to a baseball player in this case. Now, these are the variable names. Sometimes the variable names are not that informative. Here it says, well, the name, well, that's pretty self-explanatory, or the team that the player played with or played for. But these variable names are sometimes not very informative. So you may want to switch from column names to column labels. The labels are usually created by the person who put together the data set to explain what the variable name means. So for example here, times at bat in 1986, hits in 1986, home runs in 1986. So if we go back to column names, you'll see that N at bat, N hits, N home, they're not explaining what they mean. But if you go to column labels, then yes, it explains the meaning of these variables. And you can select and unselect the different columns. For example, let's say you don't want N at bat to show, you have to unclick it and it disappears. Okay? If you want to put it back, just click there again. Okay? There are other data sets here that you can play with. and see, you know, what they're at, what they are about. Let's see this one, Comet. So this one has 4,050 observations with 4 columns, so 4 variables and 4,050 observations. Column names, let's see if we change to column labels, it's a little bit more explicit. So dose level of this particular chemical, rat index, so this is basically apparently this is biological data, right? Slide index of group cells from a rat, tail length of the comet. I mean, we'll need a little bit more explanation on this, but you know, you get the idea. We have variables, which in this case is 4 variables, dose, rat, sample, and length, and we have a total of 4,050 observations in our data set. Some of the things that you can do, for example, let me go back to baseball for a minute, to the baseball data set. You can expand the work area. If you click here, then you can put it back to normal. You can also sort the data set using a certain variable. Let's say if I go here to column labels, so let's say that I want to sort the data set by times at bat. If I click here, right click, you could say sort ascending, sort descending. So let's say sort ascending. So now we have changed the order, right? So now my data set is sorted by times at bat, from smallest to largest. Right? So this person here, Bruce Bucky from San Diego, was the person with the least, well, not only him, also Ted Simmons, they had the same number of times at bat in 1986, and you can see that it goes up, so it's sorted by that. So we can just go back to player's name and sort by the name, or sort by data order. That's basically how it was, you know, recorded. Okay, so now you can also resize columns. Basically you have to put the cursor on the edge and then, you know, change the size of the column, the width of the column. That may be important, you know, if you're gonna print the data set, but that's just something that you can do with point and click. Also you can do some filtering, and this is a little bit more interesting. You can filter your data. For example, let's say that I want only a subset of the data for those of, you know, of those players who had, let's say, more than 20 home runs. More than 20 home runs. So I'm going to filter my data by, in this case, home runs. So right click on the head of the heading of the column, and then you're going to say add filter. Specify the criteria for home runs in 1986. So I want more than 20. That means strictly greater than 20. So I'll say greater than 20. That's 21, 22, and so on. Filter, and it will give me a data set with the players that had more than 20 home runs. So you see? And then you can, even if you want, you can sort this in descending order, let's say. So the person with the highest number of home runs is, you know, Jesse Barfield, 40. Mike Smith is the second, 137, and it goes down. should go down all the way to 21, you see? And tells you here that filter rows are 51, so that means that we only have 51 players that did more than 20 home runs in that particular year of 1986. Apparently this data set was, refers to 1986. Now if you want to get rid of the filter now, you can just click here and say clear filter. Now we have the original data set. Now if you want to close a data set, just close it here. Okay, so these are basic point and click type of operations that you can do, and all of this is described in chapter 2 of your textbook.